Christabel Reinke is co-founder and proprietor of Q4GP. Q4GP this August celebrates 6 years of business success. She is an economist by training with 10 years lecturing and research experience, but in recent years a leading private sector advocate, serving as the first female president for Q4 Chamber of Commerce and Industry from the year 2017 to 2021, and currently Vice President for Commerce and Trade at national level for Zambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, ZACCI. Christabel has extensive corporate governance experience, having served on the board of directors of NIPA, Zambia Railways, ZEMA, and currently serving on the University of Q4, UNIKA, and currently board chairperson of Radiation Protection Authority under the Ministry of Technology and Science. Christabel's experience and network from corporate governance brings a lot of value in professionalizing Q4GP's business structures and in building partnerships and growing the business in line with its vision. The restaurant has become a household name in Q4 and a brand to reckon with as trendsetter in the business. Ms. Clara Chipepo chats with Christabel and Reinke this week on Quality for Growth podcast.
Welcome to Quality for Growth podcast. My name is Clara, your host. I'm always excited to bring to you the best that we can do, to be able to build ourselves in terms of building inspirations regarding business growth, but not only for local, but also for international market. Allow me this time around to introduce you a very interesting guest. We have an interesting guest. I think a lot of you know her from Q4, Q4GP CEO, Mrs. Christabel N. Reinke. Christabel, you're welcome to Quality for Growth podcast.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor. Clara, I've been watching this podcast for the longest
Is
time.
it?
And,
Thank you.
You and I have been talking in the background.
Absolutely.
And now today, the day
We're sitting.
we're finally sitting down. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. You're welcome. Christabel, how is everything going?
Everything is going on incredibly well. And I'm saying incredibly because despite what our current economy is going through, I think we're grappling with an energy crisis, food safety and security issues, and all those things. But somehow God has been gracious. One thing I've learned from living in Q4 is that we're very resilient people.
Absolutely. You are.
And we somehow sail through. So far, I would say so good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As we kickstart, would you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? What's Christabel?
Christabel is a very dynamic human being. I don't think there's a single word that can describe me.
I love that.
I do a lot of things from a lot of scopes of business, but one thing that I stand out for is advocacy for businesses.
Absolutely.
I've been in the advocacy field for private sector representation for over 8 years now.
Wow.
And particularly I've affiliated with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
So Christabel is one among, I call myself a socio-economic advocate.
Absolutely. I love that.
And I speak for women in business. I speak for an enhanced business environment. I was the first female president of the Q4 Chamber of Commerce and Industry. That was in 2017.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So there are so many firsts to my name, but I think that's one key area that I identify very strongly with. I'm also an academic and researcher. I have a background of academia where I taught for 10 years in the field of, by training, I'm an economist. So I taught for more than 10 years at one of the public universities here in Q4. Research and consultancy. But I'm also a mother and a wife and a creative person, I like to believe.
Wow.
And Christabel loves music and to dance.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yes,
such a rich CV that you have, Christabel. And some of the notable, achievements that you have mentioned, I've seen you actually practice in them. you are an extraordinary person, and I think you have a lot to put out onto the market.
Thank you so
You
much.
know, and even just as if there could be a class today and somebody asked you to teach, what topic would you rather pick?
Oof. My heart has been given to developmental issues for the longest time. In fact, my specialization was development economics. So I would run or jump at a chance to talk about private sector's role in poverty alleviation. I think for me, that will get me jumping.
That will be your class.
It will be my class, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yes. And you know, talking of which, there are some things that I actually we've seen you doing, just even as we start off our conversation on the corporate social responsibilities and all that.
Oh, yeah.
That actually does much.
Indeed.
You know?
Indeed.
So if you had to remove something from your daily routine, what do you think you would remove?
If I were to remove something, I would rather add something to my daily routine than remove something. I think of the last year, one thing I enjoy is being physically active. And so the last few months, I've struggled a bit with just getting my balance in exercising and my routine of running.
Yeah.
So that is something I want to add back.
You want to add.
my routine.
So there's nothing for Christabel to remove. I love that. Because usually people say, no, I would remove. In fact, I would remove running. I want to replace it with sitting. So here she is saying, no,
No,
nothing to remove.
I honestly always felt like I can do more.
Yeah.
I've always been curious to say, okay, if I'm given a chance, what would I do? And mine is just to dare to dream. I always want to grow. I always want to learn. And I think learning shouldn't just be the typical conventional classroom setup. Learning, I think you and me have known that life itself is a teacher.
It's the greatest teacher.
It's the greatest teacher. And so for me, I think I pride in activities that I do because I know I'm learning something. I like to do things I don't know too well so that I learn how to do it well eventually.
I love that. Yeah. And you know, anybody who gets comfortable in what they know well don't grow, isn't it?
True. And in fact, I've spoken about the academic background, but we are sitting at a place called Cafe Choconilla.
Yes.
Like I said, I'm a creative person. So if anyone has been to Cafe Choconilla, you see the creativity.
Absolutely. It's amazing.
So this is a high-end restaurant in Kawe that I co-founded with my partner and husband 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
And this is the creative side of us came up when we lived in Kawe for so long. We realized, where do we go for a cup of tea, a coffee, good coffee, good food, and conversation?
Of course.
Where do you get that conversation? Where do you get that combination of good food and conversation? Exactly. So we looked around the market, there was nothing. And so our creativity pushed us. I always wanted to have a place of my own where I have coffee and think through thoughts on my own or with people, company that I treasure.
Yes.
And
you've done it.
And we have Cafe Choconilla. So from those things I've mentioned, apart from that, then it's the business that we drive. So I learned that being a business private sector advocate, you also needed to be in the game.
In the game for you to understand what really business is.
Understand.
As we were speaking, Christabel, having been in the corporate world for a long time, having impacted especially the upcoming business people and, of course, professionals in your academic work previously, and now being in the private sector, what do you want to say about that?
I think it took a lot of time to come to that decision that I wanted to give 120% into private sector work. But at the same time, I knew I had to make an impact. I had decided the last 10 years of my life should look different from the next 10 years.
I love that.
And so with that, I had to step back from academics a little bit because, by the way, you never stop completely.
Absolutely.
Once you're an academic, always.
Always an academician.
But I think I needed to introspect and bring more value to the table. And I said, if it would take me 10, 20, 30 years to get that wealth of knowledge and understanding that I can come and groom the next generation, then I'd have done my part.
Yeah. Oh, so, thank you.
Hello, Chikondi. Welcome. What have you served us here?
Okay.
All right.
Nice.
Thank
and
you.
That's my cappuccino right there. Thank you so much. Okay.
Good time for a coffee, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
What would you like to have for starters?
I think, Christabel, you pick the best.
So our menu is very broad, and everything on our menu is fantastic.
Absolutely.
But yes, I think I'll go with the.
Chicken samosas, you have chicken and mushroom, spinach and feta. Which one would you like to put?
I think chicken and mushroom for me.
Yeah.
I'll do. You know, that's my favorite
Isn't it?
combination: chicken and
Isn't
mushroom.
it?
So we're gonna go for chicken and mushroom samosa.
Okay.
We also make the best and the most decadent chocolate cake here.
Wow.
Yes.
I mean, we will need
So
to
I
sample
think
that
let's
one as well.
go from starter. Let's go and main,
Wow.
and then dessert. I
Oh,
think. But I need to
fantastic.
talk about the chocolate cake as we go.
Absolutely.
It goes very well with coffee as
Isn't
well.
it? And I wish it was here, but just as well. Let's start with the samosas. Guys, Cafe Choconila is a place to be.
It's the
Thank you
place
so
to be.
much.
What about for the main course? Won't you want?
For the
Let
main
me
course?
propose. Let me
Yeah.
propose something to you. So far we've gone into a partnership with local farmers.
Wow.
And what that means is that our farmers are growing something that we've specified must be grown for us.
Okay, that's
So
great.
in this case, we're talking about chicken that is homegrown with very little chemical inputs. So our
Great,
chicken is
that is
organic.
good.
It's roasted when
Organic
you're eating,
chicken,
and that's
yeah.
what we want to assure our clients. When you come to Kabwe, to Cafe Choconila, you're eating the best, the freshest, the safest,
Especially
food,
now,
and
we
that's what
need
we are
that.
going for. So I want you to try our half chicken.
Why not? I mean, that's fantastic.
With some chips and a salad on the side.
Guys, I'm well fed here. Thank you so much.
I think it's gonna do you good.
It's gonna do me good. I'm well fed. Put it with lemon and herb. Yes, it's gonna be nice.
Sure. Okay, let me just go through the orders. So, chicken and mushroom.
Yes.
By 2 samosas.
Okay.
As starters, and now again to have lemon and herb, half chicken, which is coming with chips and Greek salad.
Wow.
And for dessert, we're going to have chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm looking forward. I'm salivating. Please carry on. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for serving us. That's Chikondi, guys.
Thank you, Chikondi.
Thank you. And yes, Christabel, we were just digesting the aspect of the impact you have made already on the academic aspect. You've impacted
Absolutely.
lives, and now being in the private sector as the
Yes.
CEO and founder of Cafe Choconila.
Yes, absolutely. Because I think the misconception is people would think you're running away from a career. But I think for me, like I said, I needed to pivot. I did a lot of introspection, and I said, I want to be impactful.
Yeah.
So the best or the natural step for me to do was to come into business and understand business on the ground.
Yeah.
Because what I realized as I was teaching my students was that some of the textbook materials that I would share with
Yeah.
them didn't have the practice side of it, especially when you have to run a business in
Yes,
Zambia.
exactly.
We had been trained very beautiful, lofty models in economics on how an economy should balance
Yes.
out and everything. But when it came to putting that into practice and seeing how businesses should thrive,
Actually practice.
I realized sometimes there was a disconnect. And so being on the ground and understanding how public sector comes in, how private sector players also must come together and bring out the most of an
Yes,
economy, I realized I needed to be a player.
And
for me
now
to
that
do
you have
that.
been in it,
And now that I've been in it, because it's interesting that both myself and my partner don't have a hospitality background training.
said I was going to get to that.
So
So this is like passion?
it was merely passion that drove us to say, let's do this. It started out as a hobby. We said, let's do it. We love to host people. We love to have people around us, to have deep conversations, to have conversations that bring out the best.
Absolutely.
And so when we were thinking about the concept of now being a player in the hospitality, we thought small. Yeah, let's start small.
Initially.
It's a hobby because we both had full-time jobs, like you say.
Yes.
Our careers were rolling very well.
Very well,
in the corporate side, on the corporate world side. And so when this started, it was a side gig. We said, let's do a restaurant. It'll be one of those things we'll come back to after
when
work.
we're tired, and then we just go have a coffee.
And so 2018 was the year. The ideation was maybe in 2015, but the operationalization of the company was in 2018, where we said, now, let's do this, let's go. But it was also behind a number of challenges in setting up. It's funny because when we started the business itself, there were 7 of us from different countries, different personalities, different tastes for food. And we were excited. I remember we had a Lebanese in the group, we had a Zambian,
In the
we had
group.
a Danish guy, we had a German guy, a South African guy.
Gave you a good start, I think.
We were
because then
excited.
you have a whole comprehensive team. There was cultural exchange and all that.
You can say that, but it was a huge flop.
I
It
can
failed
imagine.
terribly because obviously everyone had a good idea of how
Yes.
this thing should
Oh,
run.
yeah.
We even started renting a place out, which we're going to call, the name then was Made in Kabwe.
Okay.
And it
Wow.
was Mink as an acronym, Mink.
Yes, Mink.
Mink failed terribly, but we didn't give up on the idea. The landlady chased us out of her home. She's like, no, you guys are not serious. She increased the rentals.
Yeah, of
And
course.
we hadn't even sold the first cup of coffee. We said,
God.
how are we going to make our
Yes.
returns? So somehow that, brought the whole team to collapse. But my partner and I, my husband said, okay, you know what, we're going to run with this dream.
Yes.
Because there's still a gap in the market. So we came together and we said, okay, we still have that place where people will come for conversation, people will come for coffee, people will come for private engagements, and so we started out as the two of us. And I think it made things a whole lot easier because decision making was like that.
quicker.
It was quicker. We didn't
Yes.
have to wait to run it through the next person to arrive on a decision. So with that background, and then it turned out to be a classroom, literally, because this is something, everything we did, we were learning on the spot.
It was learning on the
We
job.
had to really read up. We had to see what is on the market,
Yeah.
so we started. So all the concepts I'd been teaching my students, now I had to practice them.
See now.
How do you run a business?
Yes.
Where do you start from? What do you do when you need to start? Where do you get money from?
Yes.
What happens, So all that then became part of the process of setting up Choconilla. But one thing we didn't lose sight of was the focus and also the strive for excellence. I think people who've seen this business from day one will tell you there's a place where there's good food in Kabwe. Even before we set up the infrastructure, the way it is today, people knew us for the good food.
Yes.
So we
absolutely.
strove for excellence and we strove for maintaining that level of standard of, of good food and service. And that's what we still stand for today.
The name Cafe Choconilla, what inspired this?
I always laugh when I hear that question because it's a very cheesy kind of name, if you ask me.
How cheesy.
Cheesy, but very marketable. You have to know what sells.
Absolutely.
So, Choconilla is a combination of chocolate and vanilla. Chocolate and vanilla.
Wow.
And the chocolate in the conversation is obviously me.
Wow. I love the chocolate.
And then my husband is the vanilla.
Yes.
So we thought, okay, how do we do this? We had so many names, but we thought Choconilla was just right.
It sounds fantastic.
So, and you can't forget it.
Yes.
Initially, when people hear the name, it sounds complicated. But when you know that it's just a combination of chocolate and vanilla, you never forget.
It becomes Choconilla.
Then it's Choconilla.
Wow.
So that's where the name came from. But also beyond the name, we embrace diversity. This is the kind of place where whether you're green, yellow, or blue, you walk in and you're VIP.
I have seen that. I must say that I've experienced that.
You walk in and you're
fantastic.
VIP. And that's what we always tell the team to say, everyone that walks in here deserves our respect because they're the ones that keep us going. So we take care of them and they take care of us. So Choconilla is diversity, and not just in people that walk in here, but also in how we employ. We decided to employ, obviously the majority are women, myself being
being a female leader.
But also we decided to go a step further and employ people who are deaf and cannot speak. So we have actually reserved a quota in our company, 10% goes to deaf and people who can't speak, because again, we want to be inclusive. We realize in Kabwe, for example, we have communities of deaf children that only go as far as grade 12, and then after there, they grapple with careers. What do you do? Where do you go?
When you are deaf and
exactly.
can't speak.
So we thought the most we could do is encourage. We had partnered with one of our board directors. We do have a board of directors at Choco.
That's good.
So one of them is a trainer in the hospitality with vast knowledge of over 20 years in the industry. Wow. And given to the works of God. She's a missionary, but she was also the one that trained the deaf in our community. And upon training them, we thought, look, they've gone through your hands. We trust you. We want these people. And I can tell you from the time we've hired people who are deaf and cannot speak, they are one of the best
They are one of the
members
best.
of staff we've
Focus,
had.
isn't
They are
it?
focused.
They're
They're
quite
not
I hear they're
distracted.
quite focused.
They're
Yes.
not easily distracted.
Distracted, yes.
They are so focused. They want to get things right.
Yes.
It's almost as if it's their sixth sense that if you give them this task, they have to complete it and do it
Absolutely.
extremely well.
And I must commend you because your communication skills with one of the deaf as we were coming in. I saw you communicating really well.
He's
you have some background in that.
He has a sense of, Josephat has a sense of humor.
Fantastic. Good.
And he will look at you and he tells me, no, don't do this to me. Greet me well. So he's been teaching me, this is how you
Okay.
greet, and I'll respond in a certain way,
Oh,
meaning I'm well. I
Yes.
don't want you to do this to me because what is this?
Yes.
It can be anything.
It can be anything for sure.
So we've had to learn and we've had to just encourage the team around him.
Yeah.
We have two at the moment, Elvis and Josephat, and they're one of the most valuable resources that we have
Fantastic.
as Chokonila.
How has Cafe Chokonila evolved so far?
Oh my goodness.
Because you are actually in your 60th year, if we
Yes,
understand, and we are
yes.
so excited with you, and we are saying congratulations. But we want to hear the journey, like in your first year. What are some of the challenges and the lessons that you think you picked in the first year that almost got you going and almost got you off the hook?
Oof. I think, like I said, it started off as a side gig. So one of the things that we did, and we made a lot of mistakes along the way.
Along the way, as you are.
But in starting, I think what worked really well for us is we started as a business that would just be in our garden. We
Yeah.
lived on the same premises as the
You
business.
did?
It's both good and bad. But for most part of our starting, it was bad.
It was bad. How bad was it?
Because the two of us were the head chefs, were the managers,
Wow.
we had to be there to manage the business.
Yes.
There were no systems.
No systems in place.
I remember being in my house and somebody would come to the door knocking, asking for salt.
I can imagine.
And then they'll go and then come and knock for sugar. And then,
You're like that.
is this going to be my life?
And especially coming from a corporate world and you're thinking, oh my God.
So it was a shock because we thought, oh no, we'll manage the outside garden space and people will come. But we didn't realize that to run
The
successfully,
complexity of it.
we needed to have systems. So now looking back, I think we've managed to put good systems in
Absolutely.
place. We have a proper inventory system where somebody has to do a requisition requesting for what they need when they're about to run out. What is their par level? Who do they see? There's a person in charge of that so that there's no conflicted interest between the chef who just wants to go and get something.
Exactly.
And, so we do now have systems in place. We have HR systems in
Wow.
place. We have tried as much as possible to make this unit professional.
Being a
Because-
professional yourself.
Exactly,
Yes.
because the dream became bigger than the two of us.
Yes. Yes.
So then you realize, are we going to do this every day to
Yeah.
have people come to our home
Yeah.
and ask for things? So we needed to then have that separation. So when we moved out of the house, and in fact, we even shared furniture.
Wow.
If I show
With
you
the guests?
with the guests, if I show you
love that.
the first few years, our sofa sets and our dining table, and a few of our outdoor tables, which were meant for our home use, were being used for the business.
That was innovative because look, a lot of times people think if I have to start business, I've got to put everything in place.
Right.
That point is very important. I don't want you to
It
speak
is.
so much about it.
It is.
Somebody needs to hear.
Indeed. So, but what's funny, before I talk about that point, my in-laws visited. We thought, okay, we've started a business. We want them to see.
Yes.
Not very well timed for us because then my in-laws come from Europe.
Yes.
And guests are trickling in the business. We had to come and say, Mom and Dad, sorry, they are guests. We have to take your table now. So we had to get them off the
I
coffee
love
table,
that.
carry it and bring it to them.
Yes. That's
But
resilience.
they were so gracious. They
Yes.
they were helpful. The whole way they would be the one saying, okay, are we going to sit here today or should we just remain in our rooms?
I love that.
So from there, we then realized, no. So the separation then had to kick in. But it happened really, really slowly. Like you say, we didn't have all the required resources at the first start. We needed to spread whatever we had. We worked with what we had.
Yeah.
And then we grew the business from there.
Wow.
So I think that is
It's amazing.
It is very
I love
important
the
because-
in-laws. The in-laws part where the table is needed outside very urgently. We've got guests. And thank God for those in-laws, because
Now imagine the
if you are
Zambian
Zambian in-laws, oh my God, they would get me out of my marriage. You know,
business.
things like that.
Right,
Christabel,
right.
you actually are an inspiration so far.
Thank you
And I
so
think a lot
much.
of people do know and see what you're doing in the city of Kabwe.
Thank you.
People that have known you on the corporate scale, of course, and I have seen you, now seeing you in the private sector, practicing literally what you are teaching in university, what you are
Absolutely.
lecturing in university. It's such an amazing journey. And having to start from where, you can comfortably say you didn't put everything in place, but you
No.
had the dream,
We didn't have
to start.
everything. We didn't definitely have everything in place. We had to, and we had to learn a lot from people who had gone ahead of us. And I think this is one point that I really like to emphasize to the young ones, the up and coming, that
Yeah.
mentorship is very key. You
Wow.
don't have to really build as they say, the wheel
Yes.
from start. If someone has gone ahead of you, they've made certain mistakes, you're better off learning from them. It takes so much away from you. And so, like I say, in professionalizing the business, we knew that we didn't know everything. And so our learning, we learned on the job, but we had to incorporate people that had expert knowledge
Already in the industry.
financing, hospitality, business development, compliance, and legal issues. Because I'll tell you, NAPSA sued us the first 3 months of our business.
Wow.
The mistakes I was telling you.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
What happened?
So, when we were setting up,
Uh-huh.
and this is where the advocacy works comes in as well,
yes.
because many of the regulators out there are not there to handhold you.
Yeah.
When you start a
Yeah.
business in
True,
Zambia,
true.
you learn most of these things along the way.
Absolutely so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So NAPSA, ZRA, returns, whatever regulation you'd think of that as a business you're obliged to. It's some of the things you read up, but you don't know to what extent of how you apply.
You apply.
So for NAPSA, I think we had initial 8 members of staff.
Okay.
And because we were still training them, we hadn't officially opened the place.
I get it. I feel
we were training them and say, well, this is what you do in the hospitality. We brought our trainer, the lady I had mentioned to you. She was hands-on, training the chefs, hands-on, going through what the waiters could do. And so 3 months elapsed. And this person would come and have coffee and go. Not knowing he's taking a head count.
I was a spy. Come on.
And the next thing we saw was a demand notice. And we looked at it. And I called my lawyer friend and he was in stitches laughing.
Yes.
I said, where am I going to go with this? I've been sued.
Yes. With the 8 employees that I have.
Employees. I said, first of all, I didn't even know the employees would last. We're still training them. We didn't even know if the business would last.
Absolutely.
But I know we laugh at it now, but it was so devastating.
I can imagine.
Because we said we've just set our feet on the ground.
Yes.
And now we're getting a demand notice from NAPSA.
Yes.
That we haven't been paying their benefits, their dues. Obviously, we want to pay their dues, obviously.
Yes.
But we hadn't quite known how the system worked.
Yes.
In our minds, we were training until we officially opened.
Was in the infancy level, yes.
So, and I think that was sometime in July. We officially opened, obviously, in August. And so we went and settled
of
that
2018.
case. But I've always, of 2018, but
Yes.
I've always been of the mind that as much as PACRA registers businesses, there should be a one-stop shop or a place that would take businesses, especially startups, through what their requirements are.
You know, that is very vital, what you have just said. And I would want you to mention quite a lot about that. A lot of enterprising companies and those that are actually emphasizing to start their businesses, they're inspired to start. It's a process that they find really tedious.
It is, yeah.
The process of returns, the process of understanding the nitty-gritties for you to be able to comply with all the regulations so that your business can be kept afloat. So I think a class is necessary. Do you want to just shed more light about that?
Absolutely. And I think for most engagements I've had with our regulators from the private sector, I would always want to point out, to say, handhold the businesses, because the lifeline of many startups is very short.
Yes.
When you're looking at statistics of 26% of businesses that start up in the first year close, it's for various reasons.
Yes.
And one of them is just understanding how the system works in terms of compliance, in terms of what the law requires you to do in paying taxes. So it would be nice to see when they see the number of registered business for that month, maybe have an awareness course to say, now that you're a registered business,
Yes.
have your TPIN in order.
Yes.
Have somebody, if you're not able to do your own
Accounts, yes. Have somebody.
have
come in.
some simple system where you can have your costs, where you can have your expendables as well as the incomes that you're receiving, the revenues. Have that separation, because as much as we are professional now, we didn't start out professional.
Yes.
Like
That's
I
the
said,
truth.
we had
That's the
to
truth.
learn some of these
Yes.
things along the way, and because it was something we started as a gig, as a private,
Yeah.
a hobby.
Yes.
Even the separation from personal finances to the business finance
Was a bit challenging.
initially wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then also the distinction between being your own boss and owning a business wasn't there.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference
Absolutely.
in that.
Absolutely.
Because everyone thinks being your own boss means you are this person, you're
No.
on the driving
No.
seat. You're actually the slave driver.
You are the slave driver. Actually, you are the one who sleeps few hours.
Exactly.
You are the first one to wake up. You are the one to push things. Very true.
Exactly.
Very true.
And so until you move from that place where you understand that there are systems in a business, then your business hasn't quite taken off. And how do you get to systems if no one has ever taught you
Yes.
the systems? And that's where mentorship also
Comes in.
very key. So I think for us then we needed to align everything from the human resource perspective, the inventory system, the financing side of things. We even if we had friends giving us monies or lending us monies for us to jumpstart our business, we needed to qualify that as for the business. And so these are some of the things that we have learned along the way. There's been so much, but I think it's a journey that's been worth embarking on.
Yes. That's the word I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
And I think we want to hear that. It's a journey worth embarking on.
It is.
No regrets.
It is, because we now have a staff complement of over 33 young people.
Fantastic.
And so when you
33
hear,
is not a small number
it's
in
not
private
a
sector.
small number.
It's not a small number.
And that's why we need all the support to enhance the business environment.
Yes,
That's what we keep pushing for. But when we started, really, we didn't think the vision would grow bigger than us.
Yes.
But there was also a lot of resistance to initially get help.
Yeah.
Because when you're a business owner, you hold on to your dream because
Yes.
you don't fully understand how the next person will appreciate the blood, sweat, and tears that have gone in.
Yes, absolutely.
I
can relate.
so we didn't want to involve people because we thought this is our business. We're going to do it the way we want to do it. And then you realize, no, you don't quite know everything.
Yes, true.
And let people who are experts in finance,
Come in.
in the industry, hospitality, in business development, let them come in and draw from them.
Yes.
Then you have, I think, a higher chance of success. Than when you do it alone. And I always say, look, 20% of ownership of a business is better than you can have 20% of ownership.
I agree.
In a business.
Yes.
And you have your markup in terms of returns.
Yes.
In terms of royalties from that business, than having 100% ownership
Of
and you have
emptiness.
zero.
Yes.
On the other side.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
For me, I think this is what the vision drove us to. We have a vision to expand beyond Kabwe. We have a vision to serve beyond just a restaurant. We want to do more, and that will require us to tap into people who've definitely gone
through that. I like your spirit because you see, a lot of people when they start businesses, they feel, I know it, and I think we've got it. Would you tell us a little bit about
I think it's good to go in with that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You've got it, but you need people, isn't it?
You need
this
but,
is what
but
you're
also
trying to.
At the same time, nobody tells you that you're going to have sleepless nights.
Yes.
Nobody tells you you're going to be broke.
Yeah, yes. That you put your salary in it.
Nobody tells you there's going to be COVID.
Yes, absolutely.
So nobody tells you many of these things.
Yeah.
And so when you go in it, your why has got to be very strong. Why did you get into this? What did you want to achieve out of it? Because that is what will keep you going when everything else seems to be falling apart.
Yes.
There were times when we first started. Also, when you start something new, the confidence of really putting yourself out there is not there.
Yes, because you don't know, whether you're doing it right or wrong. Because it's just, yes.
But also for Chokonila, I think we made the phone calls.
Uh-huh.
So we have this place. Can you come and have a meal? And we'd call. Please just come. What are you doing this Friday?
Please come. Yes.
Come, can I serve you my food?
Yes.
Can you tell me how it tastes?
Yes.
We did a lot of
feedback
that.
and all that.
Literally, as I laugh with people, I say I literally had a placard saying, "Come here for a meal,"
Yes.
at the gates, just to
Yes.
allow people to come.
Fantastic.
But also that's the power of consistency,
Yes.
because once we knew what our product should look like, and what it took to make that product what it was, the feedback from our clients became very crucial.
Isn't it?
Because like you say, you go in knowing this thing, I got this, I'm going to do this.
Yes.
And then the people who are bringing you your income have a
Yes.
different mind.
They have a different mindset altogether.
They'll tell you, no, yes, you got this.
Yes.
But if you're going to run with that, then you're alone.
Yes.
But if you do it this way, we'll come and support you. So they won't say it categorically, but you see the numbers.
Yes. Yes.
So we saw that through the numbers. The first 2 years, we didn't have Nshima on our menu.
Okay.
But every third person, every second person will walk in and say, I want Shima.
Yes. That's a step of food. You know.
People will come in like, no, I know this place looks fancy, but I want my Shima.
Yes.
So we had to adjust.
Yes, of course.
There's people who've told us, okay, and we what we've done also, working with young people is very, very good.
Yeah.
They kind of put you out there through social media platforms. But also we've also learned to make our own tools to assess how our business is doing in terms of the traffic. What do people like? If we introduce this new product, we'll look out for our loyals and say, please come and try this out. So like you say, if you go in with the mindset to say, I got this, you will get it.
Yes.
But you might be holding on to zero.
Yes.
But where you go in with an open mind to say, okay, let me learn.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, we had this cuisine, we're going to knock everybody out, blow off their tops and surprise and charm them. But they came back to us and say, even Shima,
we need it on the menu.
Need it on the menu. So we had to be open-minded coming into this, and also taking criticism.
Yes.
Was very,
that is key.
It's because when something is personal to you, Clara, you know. And then someone comes to
and tells
criticize
you,
you. This is
so
there were some times we had to take the punches lying down, but we knew it was for our good.
I love the word you took the punches lying down.
Yeah.
Meaning you can be knocked down with a certain, criticism, which may be constructive.
Yeah.
You've got to take it, but with a lot of pain. Yeah. Then eventually
pain and humility. Yes. Then you get up and walk again. And that we haven't stopped.
Yes.
That we haven't. Even now we still get feedback from clients to say, okay, this is working.
Yeah.
And that's why for us our suppliers are very key.
Yes.
Because we tell them specifics of what we want for our product. When that doesn't work, we get a complaint from a client. We'll reach out to them and say, here we ask for specific. This is what
the quality of the products and the imports that is supposed to come from them to allow you to have,
absolutely
the products that you want to save, the food that you want to save to your clients.
Absolutely,
that's beautiful.
So that's been part of the story.
The idea. Usually people come up with ideas, and they would process them, and Where were you sitting? Where were you standing when this idea of Cafe Choconilla came, which is doing so well?
What is interesting is from my university days, back in uni, I would go to a coffee shop, read a book, have a coffee and a piece of cake.
Yeah.
And I think that idea stuck. That when I go back home to Zambia, I want to set up a place like this. So it's like, God being God plants a seed in you without even you realizing it, And so we're pursuing our professional careers and everything being what it is. I meet this man who is also very business oriented.
Should commend you.
My husband is
catch.
A business,
wasn't it?
Good catch.
I like a good catch.
I like that, honestly.
Yes.
He's a natural at business.
Yeah.
And so even before we met, this gentleman had already tried to do a laundry. He had done a laundry before. He was, doing clothes in Lusaka.
Yes.
And I was like, okay. So he comes here, he was constantly busy. Like he's one person who is never idle.
Yeah.
He's constantly thinking of how to improve, whether it's systems or whether to bring in. He's constantly thinking of something. So I remember when we met, at the time I was selling Brazilian hair.
Oh, is it?
Yes, I've sold Brazilian hair
good.
before. Just trying to supplement the,
Yes.
the
Like
incomes
as a
from
side gig.
Yes. So and we would have conversations. But then when we started dating,
Yes.
we realized there was no place to go for a date. Because
I love that. So,
where do you go to have a conversation? In Kawe at the
Yeah.
time. It was tricky.
it was tricky.
So we discovered this place which is
Okay.
and they had a long list of a menu. We would go there and we'd be like, okay, what are we going to have today? And then you choose this. They said, we don't have this. We choose this. Sorry. Okay, so what do you have?
What
Tell
do you
us what you have.
So everything on the list, you find maybe 80% is not available.
So whatever they had in that place is one thing, and that was the chicken. And that's what we But we realized we needed a place
Yes.
for conversation, like
Absolutely.
I said. And that place wasn't there. So I think it was already in trying to find that privacy where you can talk and have conversation that the idea started becoming more real by the day. So it's not a specific day, it's not a specific, it was as we were going and realizing there was a gap in
There
the
was a
market.
gap in the market.
And we thought we had potential to fill that gap together. We didn't have all the resources, and so we incorporated other people who we thought could help
Yes.
bringing up all the resources at once. We had full-time jobs, so we had to then assign duties. You will do this at this point. You will do this at this point. But thankfully that didn't work as we had hoped for. And
Yes.
so coming out of that, and the two of us starting
Now.
this business.
And a cafe.
Yeah, so it wasn't a specific one place or a specific, it was just those moments in time you'd say, where are people going when they want to have a conversation, what is happening in Cabo, what's on the market? There was nothing. And so we
good.
decided to jump on
You
that.
see, something that a lot of enterprising people, especially the ones that are aspiring, because a lot of people are looking at you, and whether you know it or not, you have made a lot of impact in the city of Ndola. Yeah, sorry, I'm so sorry, in
Yeah,
the city of
Kopala.
Kawe.
I see the Kopala in
You know,
you.
that's the problem with being Kopala. So I'm always talking about the Kopala, but I'm really, excited about the works that you have done, in the city of Kawe. And I've lived in Kawe myself,
Right,
and of
right.
course I've been to universities here.
Yes, yes,
So
absolutely.
I know quite well, and the amazing work that you have done by actually coming up with this idea.
No, we're very proud, Clara, of
Yeah.
Cafe Choconilla. We have actually made a significant footprint in the community. Again, something that when we started out initially, we didn't see it growing this big.
Yes.
But now when you mention Cafe Choconilla, it's a household name,
Yeah.
in Kabwe. And sometimes when we travel even beyond Kabwe, last time we were in Mazabuka with my husband, somebody saw us, Choconilla, you are here. So slowly
That's good.
people across the country, because you and I are not confined to one town.
Absolutely.
Or one place.
Yes.
Our scope of work goes beyond borders.
Yes.
And so it is something we take pride in when we hear somebody talk to us about this. We've had booking, somebody in UK booking a family table here.
Wow.
And say, guys, I've heard, can you just do
you
this
just
for
do
my
this?
family? My family is coming over to Cabo. Can you do this? We've had people from Europe do,
Yes.
kind acts
Wow.
for other people from as far as Europe.
Wow.
Paying their bill through banks and saying, you're going to host this event.
Wow.
We trust you're going to do it well. And
That's
and
good.
we've done that. So from a seed that started out so small to growing beyond us. And that's why we said we can't manage this just the two of us. Let's get systems, the right systems in place, and then we can pick it up from there.
And now with 33 workers, you said
33
is not a job for private sector, guys. 33 workers.
It's
We're
not
talking about 33 workers in Zambia. That one, kudos. Congratulations.
Thank you
That
so
is
much.
very good.
We think it's really, honestly, a very good place to start from, because obviously with the vision we have going beyond the town borders, the numbers will definitely grow, and that is the vision that burns within our the passion that we have to see this. Because also as you move south of the country, the service levels in the industry are better.
Yes.
But as you come up north, central province,
Yes.
we realized there was a gap there. And so for us to penetrate places and be able to reach more, we realized we needed to harness what we have here, the good service, the good food, and get this unit right. Once we get this unit right, we have the confidence to expand anywhere and everywhere.
That is good.
Yeah.
And the consistency that you talked about, the last 6 years, you have spent time developing Cafe Choconera.
Right.
You know, and of course, from the first year, second year, a lot of lessons back and forth.
A lot of lessons.
Sometimes, were there a time you felt like, oh, what did we get ourselves into?
Yes, several times. When the going got tough, I mean, we had to then think, take a step back and go like, are we going to survive this? One particular incident I remember was COVID struck. And so with at the time we had about, that was 2021, we had about 12 to 14 employees.
Employees at the time.
So called them and sat them down and had to explain to them what the potential of this pandemic meant, what the impact would be for our business.
Yes.
And we sat around, like we'd have our team meetings. And I opened my mouth to tell them the bad news.
Yes.
Before I could say anything, I started crying. I broke down.
I can
looking
imagine.
at their faces and being ready to tell them that we don't know what your future holds. We might have to separate.
Yes.
You know, and it was one of the lowest moments because we're like, okay, we don't know what to do. COVID says,
Yes.
the law says we have to shut down.
To shut down.
You know, and so looking at their faces and about to break that news to them, and I start crying myself. One of them comes up to me and said, "No, madam, we're going to be okay. We'll be fine."
I love that. Bless that one.
He was the one coming to me and telling me, we're going to go through this.
Yes.
So I think from there, then we had to strategize and say, how do we survive this? So from our team side, they were brilliant because they were willing to downscale.
Yes.
Because ordinarily people would lay off staff. But in our case, we said, okay, they agreed to downscale. A few shifts in a week.
Wow.
Just so for the business to survive. Because we said, if we don't sell, we'll not be able to pay. And they were like, no, we'll stick with you.
Yeah.
Until the very end. And so they stuck with us. And I think that was very helpful because that was feedback that was coming from staff.
Yes.
And not necessarily the business owners and the managers telling them, this is what we're going to do. They were the ones saying, no, we'll go through this together.
Yes.
So that was one moment which just turned from being not knowing what to do the next day to having the hope to say, no, we have families to support and they are willing to downscale. And so we'll also
support.
We'll do likewise.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And you have maintained, the team and hence expanded to about 33.
Yes.
Yet again, we will congratulate Cafe Choconera for that. A lot of businesses during COVID closed.
Yes.
And some of them failed to come back.
It's hard.
Yet the same COVID that was there actually brought a lot of business ideas. Some businesses actually grew from that.
Exactly.
I want to say the flip side of...
So I always say, especially from the economics background, any calamity, disaster always affects people in society differently.
Yes.
Because I think from COVID, we saw the coming up of pharmaceuticals. They minted, but also the ICT industry.
Yes, true.
And I think for us, we also had to innovate. We had to think outside the box. So we were told to close, but not necessarily stop operations. So in our case, this is when we started the home delivery.
The home delivery, yes.
We started to deliver food.
And that was an amazing one.
We hired, a motorbike guy.
And the car delivery.
Yes.
Wow.
So, and then for the car, we started setting up boards in the car to be able to accommodate. You don't have to come out of your car, sir or ma'am, but we're going to put up a board where you can still have your food. And once you're done, we'll serve you with water to wash your hands. Once you're done, you get out of the car and you move along. You would have had your lunch, your pit stop at Cafe Choconera. We had to innovate.
That was very innovative.
And I think
very innovative.
It's a requirement for any business because when you start, some businesses naturally you boom.
Yes.
But if you don't quite know how to hold up in the next phase of the life or when more competitors come on the show, then you could collapse. You could you could easily fall out of the business because somebody bigger has come up, somebody better has come up. But I think you always have to be on your toes to innovate.
True.
That's why you have to do your market research.
Yes,
That's why you have to find
absolutely.
out
About
what's
the business you want to
trending,
go into.
the business you want to go.
Yes.
But once you're
And once
in
you are
it,
in it, keep learning.
keep learning.
Yes.
What is trending on the outside? What is cool?
Yes.
I've had to have an Instagram
Yes.
account because I always
I
thought,
understand.
what is Instagram? How do you use? So now the young ones, the members of staff will tell you, Instagram. You can't be a restaurant and not be on
And
Instagram.
not be on Instagram.
So
Okay, put me
what
there.
does that mean?
Yes.
And so you learn as you go. You have to innovate.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you will quickly die out of business.
Absolutely.
And so even in times of crisis, think outside the box.
Think outside the box.
Take time out. For us, we had to downscale to some extent. Even, when we look at, we've now mastered cycles, business cycles. We know when our highest sales are. We know when the market is low. They're not, we're not doing too well.
Yes.
We know. And once you've mastered that, run with it, but also be open to see what else can you do to improve.
Alongside.
So don't become comfortable that don't think you've arrived. In other words, you haven't arrived until you have. In fact, there's no arriving.
There's no arriving, isn't it?
No.
You hear that? There's no arriving in business.
Because
So you
arriving
always
means
know
you're comfortable.
Yes. And when you are comfortable, you stop growing.
You stop thinking, you
Yes.
stop growing, you become grounded in this notion that you're
Say
doing
that
okay.
again. I like that.
So you have to, the growth is in the journey, the experience, the satisfaction. The destination is really as you are going, as growing. And that's what you find out what you're really made of.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've been gracious to have had such a strong client base that gives us feedback. But we know we can do more.
Let's talk about that. You had a good clientele. Among that, how supportive are friends in terms of when you start a business? And, this is what you're noting, because I find that it's very key. You can come up with an idea and, how have your friends, your circle, first of all, not the circle professionals, but the circle friends that people that generally been supportive to the growth of Cafe Choconera?
Wow. Oof. That's a question I haven't. My friends have really been, Clara, it's a handful of people I call friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that.
Because
I
realized I'm at a stage in life where making new friends is a lot of work.
I like that. I thought I was the only one. So making new friends is really hard.
Because it's a two-way traffic.
Yes,
you
of
want
course.
friendship, become friendly.
Yeah.
But with the amount of work that I do, it's hard to venture out and look for friends that will support you. So the few that I have, that I know I can call at midnight, have been there.
Yes.
And I think for me that gives me satisfaction, because unfortunately, to succeed in life, you don't need the whole world to love you and to be friends with everybody.
You can say that again.
Yes. So my circle is really thin. It's
it's
really tiny.
It's really tiny.
It's really tiny, because the time, the effort to be out there, to be talking. I do have a social life, a fantastic social life. But when we come to friends that support you, I think for me, fortunately, my client base has been good enough to support me and grow the business. Yes. But I also, Clara, I felt I needed a time of separation between the business and myself.
You as a person. Yeah.
So because you can't give from an empty cup.
Absolutely. You have to be filled yourself.
You have to be filled. So for me and my times of refreshment and feeling, I have to detach and be on my own.
Yeah.
And get people that I know I phone call, I'll call, and one of them is obviously you.
Yeah.
Because I'll call and I'm like, oh gosh, this is so hard. Yeah. And then you just prop me. I'm like, did you not know this?
Did you not know that this and that?
It's going to be hard.
I like
tell
that.
me, Christabel, no, get up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're bigger than this.
Yeah.
You have to do this.
Yeah.
And you're going to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So those are the kind of people I have who tell me, okay, cry for a day, but get up. Dust yourself up.
Dust yourself and start running, girl.
And start running. And so my friends, those friends have never given me a chance to sit back and moan and cry.
Yeah.
They look at me like, okay, so after you've done
After you've done crying, say, so what? And at the time that you have a problem, it feels like, really? Yes. Oh, that's what I can tell you?
Yes, because they'll give you the love.
Yeah.
It's not in a bad way that they'll come to you, but they'll say, you are more than this. so many people are looking up to you. So if you give in now, and
Yeah.
and I think that's very, very
Very
important.
true.
So
Very
so
true.
those you can't mix the clients and those moments when
Yeah.
you need that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, I treasure the client base that we have, and it keeps growing.
Yeah.
For some, I've never even met them before, but
Yes.
they've been so supportive of the business.
Oh.
For those who've met, I'm the face of the business.
Yes.
So I love to interact and
Yes.
find
That's
out.
so true.
And
That's who you
initially,
are. That's Christabel.
and
Yes.
initially, the waiters, our members of staff will be feeling, why is she talking to clients when we are there? I'm like, no. This is me. I have to check in on everyone and find. And unless you see
Very
me,
important
you
also.
have to see me do this, because otherwise you think I'm disconnected from my business.
True.
Because as far as you run a business, you have to be connected with
Yeah.
who your clients are as well. And I think that's something that I've learned to do. Appreciate the clients at every
Yes.
level. And some clients we've engaged in very intimate conversations, because they'll come here at a time maybe when they're collapsing, or they're going through something
Yes.
exciting,
Yes.
or, and they would want to share the stories with you, but it ends there. You take that and you respect their privacy,
Yes.
and it ends there.
Very
But I
important.
also have to go to a place where I need to replenish, and
Otherwise, you'll be dry.
that's where the
yourself.
circle
Yes.
now comes in.
Comes in.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. You know why I asked that question? Because many times, especially in the sake of women-led businesses, and you discover that the complaint is one.
Yeah.
Like, no, I had this good idea, and I thought my friends were going to be the first ones to come and pitch in and buy.
Yeah.
And it's at the very time that actually I started seeing that I actually have few friends.
Right,
And so that's why it's important, for a business person who has been both in the corporate world and also in the private sector, and really adding up a lot of meaning to it. I thought I should ask that question for
No, it's
people to
very
hear,
especially
especially the
important.
female-led businesses. You need to hear what she,
Oh, female,
what
and I
she's
think
saying.
the misconception has been that women don't support women. That's a big misconception.
Big misconception.
Big misunderstanding.
Yeah.
For me, I think when it comes to business, forget friendship.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do to put bread and butter on the table.
Table, yes. Yes.
Respect someone, they'll respect you back.
Absolutely. Boundaries.
Yes, set
Boundaries.
your boundaries.
Yes.
But friendship in a business is tricky. And that's where you see now friendships falling apart, because your expectations are set there.
Yes.
But if you are here and this is your vision, this is your focus, stay focused.
Focused.
If they come, they come. Appreciate them.
Yes.
But if they are not there, you have a reason to go on.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yes.
But the journey to success, as we call it, and success is very subjective.
It's subjective, yes.
It's very lonely. It's like a child growing. When a child from baby, from infancy to being a toddler to being
a lot of transitions in between.
a lot of transition. But what tends to happen is, for example, when a child is learning to walk, they fall flat on their bums several times.
Yes.
Several times
Absolutely.
over. It's probably painful.
Yeah.
But they're not bothered.
I like the way you said it's probably painful, because we have all forgotten, yet we've been there.
Sometimes they
There's a
cry.
process.
But when a child falls on the ground and they cry, they are wailing, they don't now say, oh, now I'm never going to walk again.
No. They will get up.
So when you see the spirit of children, they're the
Yes.
most resilient.
Wow.
They'll fall down, they'll cry, they fall off the swing. The next time they still say, no, I still want to get up the swing.
Yes.
They don't give up that
They don't
easily.
give up.
So if we have that spirit to say, I'm going to fall.
Yes.
Nobody quite prepares us enough for failure. Everybody preaches success stories. But for me, I find failure very, very sobering.
Isn't it? I think so.
You learn more, from your
when-
mistakes,
oh my
from when
God.
you fall,
Yes.
than when you are succeeding. Because when you are succeeding, everyone is there
clapping.
clapping. But when you fall, like
You're
you
going
said,
to
then
think.
you're gonna think and say, so who's on my side?
Yes.
But those are not things to deter you. Those are things to say, oh, so this is where I am.
Yes.
If this person was meant to be here, they would have
They
been,
would have
here.
been here. So
And if they are not
because
here,
their
it's
time has
okay.
been- Absolutely.
Their part in the story is over. So
ended.
let's move on.
on.
I think once we accept that,
Yeah.
life can be a whole lot easier for
Isn't
us.
it?
I think
I
so.
love that
Yeah.
piece. I really
Yeah.
love that piece.
Yeah.
And I hope somebody picked it. And so what would you attribute the success of Cafe Choconilla to in the last 6 years that you've been in operation?
So I think fundamental to putting all the pieces together has been our client. Our client base has been very, very supportive and loyal. But also very important, and not even at a scale, but very, very important, are the staff.
The staff.
Oof, we have young, dynamic, and incredible people at Chokonila.
Yes.
People who have held this piece together are our staff.
That's amazing. It's actually a blessing.
It is.
It's a blessing because not everybody can have good people to start with and get a business running, and now you're in the 60th.
No, but we didn't get it right the first time.
Isn't it? Look at that. That's beautiful.
Because even with staff, we hired wrong.
Exactly. It's a process.
Because in the industry, we initially would look for somebody who speaks well. And so we used to fall a lot on teachers and nurses. Because there'll be young ones coming in looking for jobs.
In between, yeah.
And so when an opportunity for them comes, obviously they're going to go for their nursing, they're going to go for their teaching.
Yes.
So we realized then that we needed to get people who were given in the industry.
Yes.
And so when we did that, I mean, we've had people who can barely say a word.
Yes.
But extremely talented when they have to put food on the table.
Wow. Wow.
So the typical interview process will make you inclined to somebody who speaks well about themselves.
Normally.
Better. Yes.
Yes.
But we also learned that people who talk too much and talk well are not very good performers when it comes to tasks and work being done.
That's true.
And so with our chefs, many of them may not even express themselves well.
Yes.
But when they plate the food, you will love it. Talent here.
And I mean, having tasted your food.
Indeed.
That is true.
Indeed.
You
So it took us a while to see that we needed to also have people who are passionate in the industry. But that's also a gap, which is a yawning gap of just finding the right skill set in the hospitality. So for most part, we do our own training. We take them through the initial 3 weeks when they start, before they touch any table, say hello to any guest. We take them through an intensive
3 weeks.
3 weeks. They write a test. After that, I mean, it's grueling. I think the academia in us hasn't completely disappeared. So we take them through that, and we know that those that have what it takes will probably stay on, but those that will struggle a bit, you see them also falling off. But we take, this is the pride we have in our staff, that when they are here, they've gone through a level of training.
And that also leads to the next question I wanted to ask you about you keeping up with the industry trends, because you see your industry is really dynamic,
very,
and sometimes it's dependent on the mood that I'm in. Sometimes I'd come and I want to sit, I'm just quiet. I'm already messed up. I had a very bad day. In fact, if you must be very careful. I'm sitting, and yet I've come to your place and I want to be saved. So this is how dynamic it is. And especially now with a lot of mental health, it's a huge thing. So when we come with the baggage.
Indeed.
And now you, as an executive of such a high-end restaurant as Cafe Chokonila, and your trained workers actually explains it, because then how to handle a client like that. Just tell us a little bit about how you keeping up with that.
It's not easy. Like I said earlier, that when you're doing well, you're succeeding, it feels so good. But I think the negative feedback we get is the one that keeps us on our toes. And when a client comes here, like you say, this industry is, you have to have a smile on your face.
Yes.
You have to be warm for somebody to think they're important enough for you to accommodate them. You have to play the part, and so we encourage the team to say, be as natural as possible, because also people can pick up vibes when you are faking it. You hear, hi, you're welcome, but be as natural as possible, because there's emotional intelligence as well that you have to consider. When you receive somebody, you can gauge, how is this person? Are they a serious, I'm here for a meeting, can I get my food, I'm out of here? Or are they wanting to just lay back, relax, and you have a role to play in assessing that. So we also, you have to sort of assess, how do I go about this client? So the systems have helped also, where a client, backfires or is upset with a waiter. If it's beyond them, they have to go to the next person in line, their supervisor, their manager, who is always on site. But one thing we have promised our staff is that when you come here, it's a two-way traffic.
Yes.
And our responsibility as a company is to protect you.
Absolutely.
So we're not going to have a client come and insult you and expect you to take that.
Yes. Absolutely.
If someone comes to abuse you, to speak sexually to you, we'll
Yes.
not allow that
Absolutely
here.
so.
And so what we do is we promise to protect them, but we also ask them to deliver on their part. So do your part and we'll also do our part. So we've had cases where we say rights of admission. That's what we put at the entrance.
Yes.
That rights of admission is also partly to protect our staff.
Absolutely.
Because you can't have somebody come in here pompous and insulting.
Yes, you know.
Intimidating our staff.
You know?
Because remember, our staff are also here to make a living.
Yes.
So respect them and then they'll also respect you and the other way around.
Yes.
So when we sense those, we have security, we'll say, I think you need to leave.
You need to usher
that person out. They don't belong here.
Yeah.
Because we're here to protect
Yes.
the integrity of our staff.
Yes.
They're here from their homes, from their families to work.
To work,
They're here
yes.
to earn a living. So
Yes.
when you are in this space, you are VIP.
Yes.
But also reciprocate that.
So give us a VIP mentality as well as a
Exactly.
recipient of our service.
Exactly.
So you hear
Exactly.
that. So when you get a good service that people are giving you as a VIP, you see, when you speak of emotional intelligence at Christabel, it really touches me because this applies in every business,
Every aspect,
whatsoever.
yes.
So you'll find people that are actually so VIP, but when they speak, their
Attitude
language is so
wrong.
so vulgar.
Yes.
They're rude to clients,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you literally don't know.
Oh gosh,
you know,
we have those every day,
isn't it?
every day. But what we realize is we always take you don't also take the defensive position, and you're always on the offense.
Yes.
You kind of tone down as well, and sometimes the baggage you mentioned, sometimes people are able to cool off by just seeing how professional this person will come and attend to you. Even if you had a bad sentiment, if the person can't handle, the waiter can't handle, they'll definitely switch and say, I think let me have a colleague take
over
that
table.
table
Yes.
because I think we've started on a wrong footing.
Yes.
But over and above, they will display highest level of professionalism, and because of the nature of people we receive, we do expect them to reciprocate that. And for sure, we've seen people who've come here very, very angry, but by the time they are going, they may not smile back, but you see it from
that they've actually cooled.
They've cooled off. They would probably even tip the waiter.
Yes.
A very nice tip at the end of the day, showing that they may not say sorry to you, but at least they've gotten home on a good footing.
And I think that's what hospitality is all about.
Yes.
You see, it's like in the hospital you get a lot of people, and people come in with all sorts of some of them big diseases, some of them smaller ones, but all of them are looking up.
And sometimes the ones with smaller ones are the most dramatic.
I like that. That's very true. Too dramatic. But so this is why I appreciate the fact that you have taken your workers through intense training.
Yes.
Which is very important for a lot of businesses.
Yeah.
We've had situations, where when we're talking about, customer service, for example, and suggesting some trainings for customer service for some places, they feel, it's a waste of money and it's a cost.
No. It's needed. It's much, much needed. And I mean, you see it sometimes, like you mentioned, the hospital. It's one of those places where cases are very delicate. But if someone is not given to their job, they will not treat you the way they even in hospitality is a calling.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you're not going to smile all day and not be tired unless you have the vigor, the passion to drive in, unless you know why you've gotten to where you've gotten. So even in this industry, Clara, you have to have the heart.
Yes.
Because people will come with a lot of baggage, but part of what we do when we do the interviews and the training is assess.
Yes.
Can this person actually survive? So one of the toughest clients, one of the toughest clients on set is actually myself.
Yes, of course.
And my husband, because then when you're serving us, we'll look your body language, what are you doing, how are you doing things. So initially, the first few weeks, they talk among themselves. Nobody wants to serve our table.
Yes, I can imagine, because then now you can easily get disqualified. These people
wants to serve our table. Yes. But we tell them, if you can survive this setting, you can survive the toughest client.
Yes.
Because we want to see how professional are you going to respond to this kind of treatment. How are you going? So the training is quite intense, and we're happy that we have the right staff. They have the right drive, they have the passion, but also to motivate them, we had to incorporate a number of things in the system, including we have a day set up in the week for football.
Oh, wow.
So we go, all of us, and even you won't believe I play football as well.
Wow.
So
I would love to watch that one.
oh my
Really.
goodness! So I was laughing. I said, because they're young.
Yes.
Then the demographics of our staff is very, very young.
They're young.
And so when you're running with these young people, I was thinking, I said, I think this is their time to revenge on their bosses because
I like that.
they have so much energy.
They make you run.
Make us run. But it's also time for us to we know it's a stressful industry.
Yeah.
So if we could set up, and it was a voluntary thing that we set up. We had one of our colleagues open up a futsal pitch for football. So we said, okay, you know what? We have young people here.
Yeah.
Obviously, they also need to get that, energy, bad energy out.
Yes.
And so we thought football was one of them.
That's very
But we
creative.
also
That's
do,
good.
once a year, we do a team building.
Yeah.
As much as we train them in-house,
Yes.
we also realized external investment.
Very important.
Bring in
This is
somebody else. They
absolutely
listen
important.
to somebody else's
Yeah.
voice. They listen to somebody else's teaching.
Yes.
Perhaps it carries more value than if you have to say something over and over and
You can
over
imagine
again.
speaking to your children alone all the time. That's the kind of feeling they get.
Yes.
So sometimes you get an uncle.
Send them off.
Send them off to an
the
uncle
farm,
or an aunt, or to
to
the
the
farm,
village
to go into the
somewhere.
village. Let
Yes,
somebody speak into
yes.
you. And you find they'll come back with a different positive energy. And that will have complemented your efforts, your in-house efforts. And that is something that a lot of businesses need to invest in. You can do in-house trainings, but it's also very important to have, external trainers coming in so that you can be able to allow, your workers to be able to bring out the negative energy and pick up something
We're
positive.
so motivated when you do that. I mean, we've had instances where the kitchen, for example, has been, we've had a baker
Yes.
come and train them and certify them.
Wow.
So to get that certificate afterwards is so empowering for someone, because even if they left Chokonila today, they'll go back with a bakery certificate of some kind as an empowerment
somewhere.
tool.
Yes.
And of course, that's also decisions we've had to do as a company, because somebody would ask, what if you train them and they leave? But for me, I ask, what if you don't train them and they stay?
And they stay.
It's
That's
a
a mess.
catastrophe for your business.
Yes.
So
I say that one again, Christabel. If you train them and they leave,
what if
you don't train them and they stay?
And they stay. What if, train them and they leave? But when they leave with the training, it's a tool.
Yes.
That they would have gone appreciating this. And for us, we want to set ourselves apart as, if somebody comes on their CV with Chokonila, they're the right kind of person you're working with.
Absolutely.
And initially, when we hired even the teachers I talked about, some of them we knew they would leave, because again, this industry is very dynamic.
Yes.
The turnover is very high.
Yeah.
But we see some of these young people, and we know some of them may not stay, but we tell them, if you can handle this kind of pressure, that is something that is going to go on your CV. This is something, the sales skills that you're acquiring from you will go a long way elsewhere. So don't be so short-sighted and think, oh, this is so hard, I can't get. Opportunities come to people when they're doing something already.
That's true.
And not when they're sitting and mourning over things. So this is the ethics we try to build around that. If you pass through Chokonila, definitely there's something good about you. You go away with something, whether you stay along or you go. If we train you and you stay, it's a fantastic investment. If we train you and you leave, it's a bit of a loss. I think most businesses are grappling with that.
Yes.
Maybe that's why they don't invest in the training.
Yes, true.
But what if you don't train them and they stay?
That is catastrophic.
It is.
If you don't train them and they stay. So take a risk. Train them. So if they stay, at least you got good workers around. It's an asset. But if they leave, it will pain.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier on, not everybody is meant to stay. Maybe they're supposed to impact elsewhere.
Yes.
So you take it as a good seed that you have actually
It's a hard truth. It's one of the many challenges that we grapple with as businesses, because you've invested so much in your business.
And the person says, I'm leaving.
Somebody leaves. So we always kind of have to start all over again, which is a slowdown. But in most instances, the times we've had to start all over again because the person left, we've had better come in because somehow they've understood how the system works. And what we've also tried to do at Chokonila is promote internally. So we've seen young ones that are given to their jobs that have moved from being an assistant in the kitchen to a sous chef, for example,
Okay.
that have
Good.
moved from being a waiter to an assistant manager, to a
Wow.
manager. So we want to push them from within. And how can you push them from within if
If
they're
they're
not
not
trained?
trained, yes, that's the thing. You see, if you have to run business and run it successfully, if there's something that you must never remove from your budget, is training.
Absolutely.
Capacity building.
Yeah.
Always build the capacity of your
Yes.
employees if you want your business to be able to grow.
Yes.
So that being the case at Christabel, a lot of people would want to say, I want to start a restaurant business. What word do you have for them? Having experienced both the hard and the tough, and they wanna start.
I think it's not necessary for someone to start from scratch.
They have the information.
There is information
Yeah.
out there, and in fact, we've leveraged on that and also packaged it as a consultancy for ourselves.
Yes.
Because now, after all these hurdles we've been
Yeah.
through and seeing the success
Okay.
of the business, we can tell a better story.
Yeah.
And we'll tell you, for example, we'll run through your kitchen and say, okay, you want to start a restaurant? What do you have? Have you done this? Have you done this? Or this is not going to work for you. The size of your kitchen is not going to work for
Yes.
you. You need to have this kind of, it's a lot of things that
A lot.
we can leverage from the experience that we've had. But also any kind of business,
I think so.
you don't have to go in it unknowing.
Yes.
Or with little, you have a vast set of people who have gone ahead of you.
Exactly.
So always draw on those, and I think you definitely avoid some of the unnecessary detours,
Yes.
as it were.
Yeah.
But also because mentorship doesn't mean we we tell you everything by the book, or you go by the book.
Some of which you have to
It
experience.
just means you have to
Yes.
go, but you definitely have the support of people around you to
Yes.
spur you on.
Yeah.
At the same time, learn the mistakes. Like I said, you learn more from failure than
Yes.
you do success.
Yes.
It sobers you up and it allows you to start afresh with a different
and to think.
perspective. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Somebody would say, so would you say, for you, it's a passion being fulfilled, but is the restaurant business a good one that you can say, I want to mentor people so that we can have more of these maybe in different places and
Absolutely. It is the restaurant business is not child's play.
Yes.
It's a very, very tough one. It's very complex in the sense that it is one that if you falter in one thing like food safety,
Yes.
you could have the whole system shut down.
Absolutely.
Because the inspectors will come and say, but why are you selling this?
Exactly. Yes.
This should be off. So it's very, very delicate. And so you have to go in it with your sleeves folded and your boots on and your work
and ensure
on.
that you know.
And ensure that the passion which is there must be kept alive.
Yes.
And part of keeping the passion alive is really just wanting to learn more every day. You just want to learn more about how we can do things better.
Yes.
How the systems can be better than what you currently have.
Yeah.
Just keep on improving yourself on that, and it will definitely succeed. You have to also have your eyes open to dynamics in the economy. Things just change overnight.
Absolutely.
Before you know it, now we say, oh no, there's aflatoxin in your milling.
Can you imagine?
So what do you do about that? So then you have to then consider what are the alternatives. Can these alternatives still be as good as, maybe not as good, but nutritious wise, you find better foods than what you find in the milling mill, for example. So you always have to think like that. But of course, you can't make the decision for people.
Yeah.
And so this is a business that requires you to really be on your toes.
Yeah.
It's a great, but it's not the only thing that I've done in my career.
Yes.
It's not just a restaurant business.
Yes, of course.
It's more things that I've done, and more things that I'm
number of them that you have done.
So I'm a corporate governance expert, and that's why for me part of the professionalizing the business journey was to set up a board of directors, because sometimes when people feel they're their own boss, they dip their hands in the cookie jar.
Yes.
That is supposed to be somebody's salary the next day.
Absolutely.
So accountability becomes very key. Governance becomes very key. When you have a board, you can easily be accountable for every step that you do. You're transparent.
Yes.
But also it's your willingness to grow that
Yeah.
you don't know everything. You bounce off ideas on your board, and they'll be able to guide.
They can guide you. You're accountable. You're answerable to some people at least.
Exactly.
They will ask you, well, how did you make this decision? Then you have to explain.
Because before you'd be at 3 a.m. in the morning, you are having those insomniac nights.
Yes.
You're thinking, who do I fire tomorrow?
Who do I fire tomorrow?
Who's leaving this?
I was not happy with what they did. They must go. Yeah.
But with a board, you have to justify.
Yeah,
you have to go through the process of hiring the person the right way. You know. So that keeps you in check.
Absolutely.
And I think again, it's very, very crucial to the growth of the business.
And being in the food and safety industry, you know, the how much importance has Cafe Choconilla placed on the ensuring that the products are of high quality that we're using.
Very important.
Because the quality issue is something that a lot of people are overlooking.
It is very
and
important.
having periodic, inspections.
So what we've done is we have standard operating procedures for the kitchen. We've put in place, for example, the shelf life of food. And now, as we're going into the hot season, and now with the load shedding, we have to ensure that the shelf life, we have dates, we put production date, expiration date. We can't sell a certain product if it's been on the shelf for 2 days, 3 days. Because of its short life. We take that very seriously. But above that, we also extended that to our suppliers. We have an initiative called Farm to Table.
Yes.
Where we now engage with our local
suppliers. Sounds good.
Yes.
Farm to Table initiative. Straight from the farm to the table.
Exactly. Yes. So basically, we interact with our suppliers, our farmers, and we say, how are you growing your vegetable? For us, this is our prescribed needs.
Yes.
We don't want fertilizers in this. We don't want chemicals. We don't want this. So as much as possible, minimize. So then we do visit. We go and see how they're growing, what we are using in our restaurant.
Yes.
And that has been very, very good because we know when we get food coming here, I should be able to eat food that, is made in my kitchen.
Yes.
And not have to fear.
Yes.
Something is going on.
Wrong with it. Yes.
Indeed.
You see, because why I ask that, a lot of people venture into business and they avoid to think that there must be quality inspectors that should be able to come in. We have institutions, for example, ZAB, several others that are actually able to hold the hands of these enterprising, the restaurant owners, maybe other businesses that require that you are certified. In terms of, it's not just a certificate, it's just for you to get the information that you need to be able to run effectively and efficiently and healthily your institutions, especially when you're dealing with food and safety.
Exactly.
Because this is it's crucial.
Yes, it is.
Like what happened recently. So we know that lives can be lost.
Lives can be lost.
If food is not
you are
properly
taken
handled.
to task. And like I say, it's a very delicate industry because once that happens, your reputation goes down. Your business is closed.
Absolutely.
The livelihoods you're supporting are gone. And so for us, it's a point of emphasis. When they come to work, we tell them our lives literally depend on how well we run this.
Yes.
So we certify them. There's food handlers certificates. Go workers compensation. We have to do all that because should anything happen, we're able to say, no, look, we have this.
Yeah.
Drinks, we have an inventory system, like I said, whether it's stock in drinks or spices, they have to be a shelf life.
Yes.
The moment the date is nearing of expiration, we have to clear.
Absolutely.
We have to clear. So for us, those systems are some systems we've taken very dear to ourselves.
From the onset.
I think we had to make that known. Every person that comes in here, the kitchen staff, the management of stock, inventory, we ensure that is something that is their Bible.
Yeah.
The standard operating procedures is their Bible that they go with as they come to work here as well. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. And having run for the last 6 years and counting. Still going.
6 years and counting.
6 years and counting.
Yes.
So, and having started like that, having noted that really it is very important to follow all the compulsory standards that you're meant to follow in the industry so that your business can be able to grow and that your clientele is also protected. It's not a child's play, like you said.
Yes.
And this is why food and safety industry is not like I will just wake up and say, no, I'm going to start a restaurant. And I'm going to, because fine, are you willing to follow the rules? Are you willing to ensure that all the compulsory standards are followed?
That's it.
So that also brings us to a point where we encourage, business interactions with these bodies that actually certify.
Yes.
You get first-hand information and sometimes free because in the country wants you to be able to run your business,
your business
effectively
exactly
and keep
exactly
people safe.
exactly. So in those instances you want to have the regulators come, and they're actually more than willing to come and give you those talks, to come and tell you what. We've had a fantastic working relationship with workers compensation, Zambia Revenue
good.
Authority, whatever regulation you'd want to think of, even the health inspectors.
Yes.
They've been here because they want to see, how is your waste management? How
Yes.
are you doing this?
Yes.
How are you separating this from that? We should be able to be transparent enough to show them around and say, this is how we're managing our business. It is very crucial. Most institutions, I'll tell you, Clara, are more than willing
Yeah.
to send their staff to come and run you through some of the processes. But it's just the knowledge and the disconnect,
Yes.
that you don't know what is required. And so instead of finding out, you rather turn the back on what you should
Sometimes
be
you get
learning.
angry with the inspectors
And in
themselves.
doing
Yeah.
that, you get your fingers burned.
Absolutely.
So you want
Absolutely.
to avoid that and just throw yourself in there and say, I want to learn. And they're more than willing to come on board.
And teach you. So
Indeed.
that goes to our dear enterprising and all those that are actually running businesses. You'll be shocked to find that there are some big businesses that actually don't like to see quality inspectors.
Yes.
So when they see them coming, they want to literally shut their gates.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
no, they will expose
Then
this. So
you
these
know they are
people are
doing
meant to
something
help
wrong.
you.
Exactly.
They are coming to help your business to grow. Quality inspectors are for you. You know, would you want to shed a little bit light
yeah,
about
I
that?
think
Like
it's
you
very,
said,
very important. And like I said before, if I'm not able to eat a plate of food from here, then there's something wrong. How should I then how does that even sit in my conscience that somebody else should come and eat something that I can't eat?
Yes.
There's something there. So
There's
if you are
something.
manufacturing those drinks somewhere in the backyard, you can't take them yourself, but
Yes.
you want to offload them on the
market.
Because part of running a successful business, you are your biggest marketer. So if you can't delve in and
Consume
your own product,
you
then
can't
how are
swallow
you
bitter
able
pill.
to? Yeah. So really, I think these are things that again, you can't just teach somebody overnight.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're in the clothing industry, fashion industry, for example, you have to look the part.
Yes.
So that when people ask, oh, how did you do this? No, I actually made it myself.
Yes.
You know, you take pride in that.
In it, yes.
It applies to every industry.
Very true.
That you have to be your own person's, what's the word? You have to be your own
The first
evangelist.
consumer, yes.
Of
You're
your,
the
of your
consumer and you're
product.
the evangelist of your product. Yes.
Exactly. The first marketer
Yes.
of your product is yourself, and that needs to sink in.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate when you see those backyard industries that want to sell offload products on the market that are not fit for consumption. It's very unfortunate because then if you represent, and that's why your pillars of your business, your values,
Yes, absolutely.
are crucial, because for us, consistency, excellence in our provision of service is key.
It's key.
So when that drops, we know it's not just the brand name at risk, but it's everyone that has affiliated any kind of
Yes.
business or service to this industry. It's a domino effect.
Very true.
Because when word goes out, they say bad news
Spreads faster.
Spreads 7 times faster as the
Yes.
truth is still putting on its shoes. You know, so
I like that.
if something bad happens, it will go viral
Really fast.
Really,
Well,
really
truth
fast.
is still tying his shoelaces to try it. I want to go and tell them the truth.
Still at the door.
Yes.
So really,
Yeah, I love
and
that.
also it takes time to recover when something bad happens. So you want to avoid that.
Yeah. And
You
that's
want to
so true.
avoid that.
It takes a lot of time to recover. And sometimes you may not recover. That's something you must know. Because people, when they get a certain instinct about your product, and sometimes, it will take a lot of damage control for you to be able to come and it's almost like you're starting from
Indeed.
scratch.
Indeed.
So why don't you just, cooperate with the right bodies?
That's right.
Get the standards right and ensure that in your industry, you are able to, to follow all the compulsory and laid standards.
That's right. And in fact, just to, run along with that thought, Clara, when we started, social media was one of the platforms that we used.
Oh,
and
is
I
it?
remember telling especially Facebook.
Yes.
And I remember telling my team that the same way we have used this platform to lift us up is the same way this same platform could bring us down.
True.
So let's be very mindful of
Yes.
how we deal
That's very true.
with people, how we deal with our
Yes.
product, how we handle complaints.
Yes.
Because that's not to say that our product is perfect.
Yes. No, we are continually learning and
Exactly.
learning and continually improving,
Exactly.
the standard of our quality.
So that is just to say you will have complaints, big ones at that. but have a system of how you handle complaints. So here we handle it's unfortunate when a complaint features on social media, because on the ground, on site, we would have done everything it takes to mitigate the impact
Yes.
of that damage, you know, of the damage we've caused to the client, the inconvenience we've caused them. Would have tried to do our very best on the scene, and so would want to mitigate the damage at the initial stage rather than wait for someone to post it on
For
social
something to
media,
go wrong. Yes.
to go wrong. And social media can lift you up, but it can
And
also
can
break
also bring you down.
You know, so
because that's where people are. So
yes.
people can lift you up, and the same people can
bring you
can
down.
bring you, depending on what you're delivering. So
Yeah. So compliance is key. It's one of the things to just keep you going. How you handle your customer complaints. We've really been trying to put systems in place, because we've had people who say, "No, I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to talk to the director." You know. And
I like that.
And then because of how well trained
Yeah.
our team is, they'll handle it. The same client would turn around and say, actually, I'm back and I want more food. You guys make the best food in town. But that's also to show we've handled it well.
Well,
But it's not always easy to receive a customer complaint.
you know.
Yeah.
That is well done. So far, so good. 6 years is not a
6
joke.
years. So, we want to celebrate it in a big way.
Tell us about it.
We want to
What do we
celebrate.
expect?
So, I know a lot of people are listening into this program. But you and me, Clara, are from a generation where when you hear 80s and 90s,
Yes.
that's where
Those are our gigs.
That's where when you dance, somebody reduces in height.
Yes,
You
and they
know?
become short.
They become short. So we have one of the most talented DJs we have in our country, DJ Gesh Groove. He's known for the 80s, 90s gigs. You know, he's just gonna turn this place upside down, inside
in a beautiful way.
in a beautiful way. So
Wow.
we're going to celebrate. Gesh is going to be on site. But also the success of this program for us has been, to a very large extent, the partners we have on board. One of them is Power FM.
Yeah.
We have a fantastic partnership with them.
Good.
There's Voibrand Media that does our branding, our mags, and some of the brand, the logos that you see.
Yeah.
The t-shirts, the uniforms we wear. We've also partnered with yourselves.
Yes.
And that's why you're here today.
Absolutely, and we are proud to do so.
What a privilege. What a privilege. So I am looking out for the team I'm seeing here standing in front of me.
Yes.
That on that day they will let their hair down and dance with us and have
We'll
fun.
put on our dancing shoes.
Because this is such a brilliant and excellent professional team you've brought on
Thank you so
board.
much.
And those are the kind of partnerships we look for. So locally we have the Lunsemfo Hydropower, we have APSA, we have Off-Cuff Jubilee Metals Group. So We Genesis is also in the media. And so I could go on, but I need to beg for forgiveness for those I haven't mentioned.
Absolutely.
Because the list is just so long, and I appreciate each one of them. I'm sure at the end of this program there'll be a list of an extension of people we want to personally thank. Of course, Farmers Nest Group of Companies is on board as well, and University of Kabwe is on board. Unica is on board. I must mention I sit on the council of Unica.
Congratulations.
So thank you so much. So
I'm looking forward to seeing what will happen. It will be an amazing university.
That one is a legacy university. It's going to grow and just impact so many lives in areas that we speak of.
Transform Kabwe as well.
Relevance. It has a rare ethics, so it's going to really bring that to shine. So we've partnered with those organizations, and we know they're coming on board in different ways. But we're also giving them a platform, because we'll have over 300 people coming on board, and for any business entity, regardless what you do, that is a platform for you to interact with people and say, this is what we do. This is where we're coming from. And that's the opportunity we're giving our partners out there, to say, you're going to meet a diverse range of people. On that day, the provincial ministers confirmed this coming. Because even for our leadership around town, we said, you need to let your hair down.
Yes.
You need to put off sometimes a
Come on,
jacket
let's
and
dance some.
because this is
Relax
6
a little
years.
bit.
It's 6 years and we're still growing.
Yes.
So come and relax a little bit, like you
Yes.
say. And so this is what's going to happen here. So
We are
it's
excited.
going to be a blast.
Congratulations.
We are
I mean,
excited.
6 years is not a joke in private sector.
Absolutely not.
We may have been in corporate sector, but 6 years in private sector, I know what it is.
Oh,
That's
it's,
quite a lot, and we are super excited along with you.
Thank you so
And we
much.
can. I'm personally gonna. I'll see if I can
Thank
lay
you
my
so
hair
much.
down and be here.
You love it.
And we're gonna do some dance.
You will love it. Yeah.
So, Christabel, even as we conclude, we have seen you and Cafe Choconila doing some corporate social responsibilities. And what is your target? That's a good initiative.
Indeed.
What do you want to impact? What do you want to share with us a bit about that?
So I think with corporate social responsibility, we exist in a community, Clara.
Yeah.
It's something we never really thought through when we started the business, but we realized we're part of a community.
True.
And you can't be everywhere. So for us as Choconila, there's specific partners that we've decided to go with along this journey.
Okay.
And one of the organizations that we support, that we're partners with, is Caleb Center for Children Living with Autism.
Okay.
So from time to time, we do what we need to do as a corporate unit now.
Yes.
So we go all out there. This is a center of children that are obviously living with autism. And so they have different needs. They have different challenges. But at the same time, we know that those are children.
Yes.
And they didn't choose to be in that place. But whether we like it or not, we are either affected or
that's it.
Exactly. And so for us, we choose to be out there and help the children, because it's also a way to make us inclusive in our community. We're not going to leave people that we care about behind.
And
yes. And the other institution that we've partnered with is called Ranch Hood Hospice. And the hospice takes care of the elderly and people suffering from HIV.
Yes.
So we also do our works with them, and we do our donations.
Good.
From time to time, and the last but not the least is we have Good Works, Steps of Good Works Foundation, which also deals with the elderly people. We've been with them, I think, the last 4 years or so.
So good.
But now I think with social media, now we've kind of been shown in a light that we hadn't really thought through. So these are some of the organizations we're working with, but also women, like, I won't say women, girls in football and boxing. So from time to time, the girls who their tournaments are held at the mall.
Okay.
We like to support the girls
at Kawamo.
Yes. Because we know, a girl child, when the vulnerabilities of a girl child are sometimes beyond scope. But when you find somebody who has an interest in boxing or football, they have a talent they want to harness. So we hone in on that and support them in a way that we can. For us, that's very, very important. And that's how we've been able to stay in touch with our community.
With the community that you're serving in.
Indeed.
And that having said that, Christabel, well done.
Thank
We'd like
you.
to congratulate you yet again as Quality for Growth podcast for celebrating your 6 years of existence as Cafe Choconila.
It's a privilege. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, and we really
you.
appreciate, and we want to wish you that please, the best is yet to come.
Thank
Don't
you
stop
so much.
keeping, don't stop pushing, and please go out there and succeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So there you have it, our viewers. This has been an amazing conversation that we had. We traveled all the way from Lusaka as Quality for Growth podcast to come and have an interaction with Mrs. Christabel N. Reinke, the CEO and founder of Cafe Choconila. And we hope and pray that you have picked something, out of this conversation, and that you are going to be inspired to begin your business and be able to add to the growth of the economy of Zambia. Thank you so much. My name is Clara, your host. Until next time, bye-bye.